the first traffic light exploded and took out the officer standing next to it. Picture Parliament Square, London, December 1868. Fog rolling off the Thames. Horse-drawn carriages grinding through the intersection. A gas-powered signal pillar stands at the curb, manually cranked by a police officer. Then, a gas pipe beneath the cobblestones fails, and the whole mechanism detonates. We assume traffic lights were an instant triumph of urban planning. That sounds reasonable. It is completely wrong. Britain declared that first design a public safety hazard and banned traffic lights entirely for 60 years. And that's before we meet the officer who built a signal you triggered by honking your horn, or the inventor who sold his patent to General Electric for what equals $730,000 today and barely made it into the history books. The answer changes more than you'd expect. Here's what most people assume. The traffic light was invented for cars. Cities grew chaotic. Automobiles multiplied. Someone built the solution. Clean, logical, obvious. Traffic lights predate the automobile by nearly half a century. The first signal wasn't built for cars at all. It was built for horses. The problem wasn't speed, it was volume. By 1868, the intersection outside Parliament was so clogged with horse-drawn carriages that crossing the road on foot had become genuinely dangerous. J.P. Knight, a British railway engineer, looked at the chaos and had one clear thought. Railways had already solved this. Colored signal arms told operators exactly what to do. Why not bring the same logic to a street corner? That question, simple as it sounds, would quietly reshape how every city on Earth organizes itself. And the man who eventually answered it convincingly may not be who you think. History hiding in plain sight. It was December 10, 1868. A cast iron pillar stood outside the Houses of Parliament, fitted with semaphore arms and 2 gas lanterns, one red, one green. A police officer worked it by hand. Arms extended meant stop. Arms angled down meant go. Colored lights took over after dark. Knight had copied the logic entirely from railway signals. Nobody had tested it in the middle of a city street before. For roughly 3 weeks, it worked. Then, a gas pipe beneath the pavement developed a leak. The mechanism caught. The pillar exploded, injuring the officer on duty. Authorities dismantled it within days. What most histories skip. Britain didn't just remove that one broken signal. Parliament banned gas-powered traffic lights entirely, and they stayed banned for the next 60 years. 6 years. Across the Atlantic, cities had no such hesitation. By 1912, Salt Lake City police officer Lester Wire had built an electric traffic signal, red and green bulbs mounted in a wooden housing, controlled from the roadside. Wire never patented it. On August 5, 1914, a refined version designed by engineer James Hogue went live at the corner of East 105th Street and Euclid Avenue in Cleveland, Ohio, the first electrically operated traffic signal in the United States. An officer in a nearby booth flipped a switch to change the lights. No yellow, no transition warning, just red, then green, with 0 time in between. But this is where it gets strange. No transition warning sounds like a minor inconvenience. It was not. Imagine driving a 1914 automobile, no power brakes, no crumple zones, approaching a busy intersection at speed. The light flips from green to red with no warning. You have fractions of a second. Accidents continued. The signal had solved the horse carriage problem and created an entirely new one. William Potts, a Detroit police officer, asked a question that sounds painfully obvious today. What if you warned drivers first? In 1920, Potts introduced a yellow caution light between red and green. The first 4-way, 3-color traffic light went live at the intersection of Woodward Avenue and Fort Street in Detroit, and that sequence has remained essentially unchanged for over 100 years. Here's the misconception worth pausing on. Most people, if asked who invented the traffic light, will say Garrett Morgan. That is not wrong. It is incomplete. Morgan, an African-American entrepreneur who ran a sewing machine company in Cleveland, witnessed a serious traffic accident and began designing his own automated signal. In 1923, he received a U.S. patent for a T-shaped, 3-position electric signal. He sold that patent to General Electric for $40,000, equivalent to roughly $730,000 today. But Potts had installed a 3-color system 3 years before Morgan filed his patent. So what did Morgan actually invent? A signal that could switch itself, no officer required, not the traffic light, the self-operating traffic light. That distinction matters. Why does history keep collapsing them into one? Let's go somewhere unexpected. Syracuse, New York, the 1920s. A predominantly Irish-American neighborhood. Traffic lights have just arrived. Standard configuration, red on top, green below. Residents began vandalizing them, deliberately, repeatedly, because red in that community was not just a color. In Irish nationalist symbolism, red represented British imperial rule. Green represented Ireland, and here was the city government, installing signals where the British color sat elevated above the Irish one on every street corner. City officials, facing sustained property damage, made a decision that should not have been possible. They flipped the signals. In that neighborhood, green went on top. It stayed that way for years. I'll let that sit for a moment. Historian Clay McShane documents this in his 1999 paper in the Journal of Urban History, and it is the kind of detail that demolishes the idea that infrastructure is politically neutral. A traffic light is not just a traffic light. It encodes choices about whose symbols get elevated, whose logic gets embedded into the physical world. Meanwhile, in Baltimore in 1928, engineer Charles Adler Jr. took the technology somewhere nobody had considered. He built a signal you activated by honking your horn. Pull up to a red light, honk, the light changes. That's the entire system. Installed at a Baltimore intersection, it became the first actuated traffic signal in the United States, one that responded to the presence of a vehicle rather than a fixed clock. Every sensor-triggered light you've ever sat beneath is a direct descendant of Adler's idea. What if the road could listen? Today, the average driver loses roughly 2 full days per year sitting at red lights. 2 days. Stationary, just waiting. According to INRIX's 2022 Global Traffic Scorecard, congestion cost the combined economies of the UK, Germany, and the US $2.2 billion in a single year. The traffic light is no longer just a safety device. It is an economic instrument, and it's about to change again. Ali Hajbabai, a civil engineering professor at North Carolina State University, is leading research into a fourth signal color, likely white, designed for autonomous vehicles. White would mean follow the car ahead of you. Human drivers could do the same, slotting in behind a self-driving vehicle moving through the intersection. The gas lantern at Parliament Square has become an AI-managed node in a citywide optimization system. JPL Knight's question hasn't changed. Only the tools answering it have. So, the next time you sit at a red light, watching the countdown tick towards zero, know that the device above you carries 158 years of engineering compromise, political negotiation, and genuine human stubbornness inside it. Know that an officer was injured building the first one, that a neighborhood flipped its signals over a flag, that the man who automated the whole system sold his patent for a sum history still hasn't fully repaid. The traffic light doesn't just manage traffic, it holds the record of every argument humanity has ever had about who gets to move and who has to wait. If this changed how you see something you pass every day, drop a comment below. Tell me which detail hit hardest. Was it the explosion? The neighborhood that flipped its lights over a flag? Or the inventor history almost forgot? This is Object Lore. The history of the world is hiding in plain sight. Until next time.